Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Talk Podcast. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're always safe and, having a good time because you can easily find yourself in a rough situation in life. So be grateful, be thankful for all the things you have, for all the tiny things you have, whatever how small you think it is. Actually, think about it, be grateful. I don't know why I felt to say that, but, I think nowadays I catch myself as well, right? You just sit there, oh, I want this, I want more of that. But taking myself away from this, I'm thinking that nowadays everything we do is just over the top. It has to be over the top. It has to be, out there. Everyone needs to see, everyone needs to know. You want the newest, you want the biggest, you want the best, you want the most. And not to say that that is bad per se, but with such mindset that kind of goes into ego and goes into greed and goes into even delusion, you will find yourself in bad positions. And I don't want that for anyone, so be grateful for what you have. What am I trying to do today? I want to talk about the obvious, the Shannon Shape situation. And I'm not trying to pinpoint or like mock him or like whatever. We still don't know what actually happened. I'm sure some people would be thinking, oh, why do you pick to talk about him? Why didn't you talk about, I don't know, Jay Z and that situation that came up recently, which also kind of got dropped and people are having questions. Some people are suspicious about the whole thing. Some people are happy with the outcome. I do not have too much of an opinion. That only thing that I can say that in general, whoever is the person involved and also obviously the victim, I just think it's a mess. And my heart goes out to those people who are actually hurt, misused, mistreated. Because if that really happened, think about it. If that really happened to you and you find yourself in a situation where no one believes you, I think that is tough. And on the other hand, I also feel bad in a disgusted way. I'm kind of disgusted, I'm not going to lie. But I still feel bad because I'm thinking to myself, look what a waste how someone just threw their life away, their reputations, draw their families into this for no reason, right? Because you want to be powerful. You think you can do whatever you want, right? As I said, at the end of the day, it's not really, to me at least, it's not really about, oh my God, it is Shannon Sharp or not. I've never actually talked about this person. It could have been anyone. And I guess the key and what people are mostly interested in is to understand what happened. I've already introduced one YouTuber beforehand who talked about this. There are so many more. There are some, how to put it, celebrities or more well known people who've also shared their opinion on this. Some others have dragged other stories into this. It's difficult. But there's some things that I've heard so far that I really appreciate. As I said, it's not about who it is. It could have been someone else, a different man, and it could have been a different woman. It's still a messy situation. But one thing that I do appreciate is the general, so far of what I've seen, the general understanding that most people will agree to the fact that 19 and 45 shouldn't be in such relationship. Just saying that. And I really appreciate that because, yes, you are legal to do what you want to do. You are now on paper an adult. But if we are all honest to ourselves, and we look back to how we were when we were like 18, 19, most of the things you did, you thought to yourself, you knew you were smarter than everyone, you're bold like that. And I'm not going to take away the fact that, yes, there are young people, boys and girls, who put themselves in difficult situations, dangerous situations, right? And the reason why that even happens more than with someone who's in their 30s is because exactly they don't have the life experience. They cannot really measure or weigh, or they just are stuck in the moment. They just see the fun right now, but they might not be in the position to actually understand different outcomes. And this is not an excuse, but it is true. So I personally, because I don't think this actually goes into this. This is not a relationship in the most traditional ways that we know it, or in the most common ways that we know it. But me personally, I'm not judging people who are in relationships, and there's an age gap, right? Most of our parents have age gaps. But I guess there is a difference to it when an adult man in his 40s and early 50s, choosing to date a younger woman for long term serious intentions, getting married to her, and that woman is 25, 26, 29. We would all agree that that is a different story, different scenario. Now, take away the relationship, and even if we want to say, okay, this is a young woman who's choosing to do these kind of, how to put it, these kind of a job to get by in life. Most people would react differently if they hear, oh, she's 28 and choosing to do that, or she's 19 and choosing to do that. So is she allowed to do what she wants to do? Yes, of course. But there's a reason why most people will react with a protective manner to this. So that's one part, so much that I've heard so far. Most people have been, going that direction. And I love that the majority of the people that I've heard so far, they actually agree to it and say no. They are saying no. They're saying, hey, no one is going to, you know, tell you not to date a younger woman. But that is crazy. That is crazy. And especially for these kinds of things that he or what they initially thought they would be doing. Difficult to talk about this if I'm honest. It's crazy. On the other hand, I know people will be like, yeah, but she's already showing herself on the internet. She's already on OnlyFans. Da, da, da. I do not agree with that. I do not agree with that, and I do not want to sit here and pretend that she does not know what that means. But yet, for someone who just is still in that young, playful, I get all the attention, it's all about me mindset, which you are when you're 19, and you think to yourself, oh yes, I've been doing this online and I've been getting, I know how to deal with men, I know how to move around them, they do what I tell them to do. That's the mindset. It's different. It's completely different when you take what you're doing out of your closet, out of your bedroom, your, in most case, protected home, where you choose to do what you want to do, where you can stop the camera if you want to stop the camera, and going actually into the real world, meeting someone that you do not really know that well. With 19, you can have ideas. You might have a tiny bit of experience, even, but you cannot tell me that that experience that you've gathered the last 3 years, most likely, even if even, right, that you will want to equate that with someone who's in his 50s. There are certain things, and I'm not even going to the allegations right now, just on a normal scale, there are certain things that you might not understand what's going on in his fantasy, his desires, his mindset. Even, I don't know, this is so, just to make this short, And then I will add someone else who's going to be giving their reaction. To be honest, I don't know how that's going to go. We will be watching that together. But I'm here to say I appreciate that most people do not agree with that. Because let me ask you out there, if your younger one, sibling, cousin, whoever that you care for was to say, I'm 18, 19, and I want to put myself on the internet, start sexualizing myself and selling that to strangers who can do whatever they want with that content, but I'm making bucks. Most people would not want to advise the young ones to do that. And then if you continue on and say, hey, I'm 19, I don't even know how the world really works, but now I want to be having intercourse for money with people I don't know and who have much more experience than I do. Most people would not want to advise that. They would do their best to talk that person out of it. So, as I said, I'm curious to see how this is going. And yes, there are some sneaky young people out there, boys and girls, young women. There are, especially when you want to look into the dynamic, the personas that you have to embody when you want to go into that world. Yeah, as I said, no one is pretending here, but still. When a 19-year-old thinks to themselves that yeah, they're street smart, even if they are, right? They're in that world to a certain degree, and they're telling you, yeah, yeah, I'm so slick, I'm so street smart. And you perhaps, let's say you're in your 30s, 40s, and you're about that life, whatever that means. You know for a fact you're gonna be looking at that person like a child. I'm sorry, but that's the reality. You are going to be looking at that person, and yeah, I bet you. I'm sure you do. There's so much that that person doesn't know. Does that make sense? I hope I'm making sense.